All right, going to call to order the Homewood Board of Zoning Adjustments meeting for February 2022. Ms. Montgomery, will you call roll?
I'll call it tonight. Sure. Mr. Wortley.
Here.
Ms. LaBeouf.
Here. Here.
Mr. Perkle. Ms. Hand.
Here.
Mr. Foley.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
And Mr. Gear.
Here.
All right, next item on the agenda are approval of the minutes from December of 2021 and January of 2022. Has everybody had an opportunity to review these minutes? All right, I will take a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes of the December 2nd, 2021 and January 6th, 2022 meetings.
I'll second.
All right.
Was Ms. LaBeouf make the motion?
And Mr. Wortley.
Yes.
Second. All right.
Next item on the agenda are any communications or reports from the chair. I have none. Ms. Vice Chair, any communications to the board?
No, I do not.
Lead to our next item on the agenda, which is old business, consideration of an edit to the rules and bylaws, section 3, qualifications.
Mr. Foley, that's just the one change that.
That's
we
underlined.
requested that we make. The one line that is in red will be removed. Well, and the rest of it will stay the same.
All right, so this exception is that one of our regular members on the Board of Zoning Adjustments may also serve on the Planning Commission.
Right, when it's actually the other way around. The member of the planning commission can serve on the board of zoning adjustment. It was just backwards, and it doesn't match the state statute the way that it was written.
The state statute, I talked to Mr. Kendrick about this, does not exclude someone from this board serving on the planning commission. And this reads like it has to be a regular member, but it can be a supernumerary according to state law. So we're trying to make Mr. Roberts legal.
Mr. Roberts is a member of the planning commission serving on the board of zoning adjustment, not the other way around.
Right, as a supernumerary, but it says a regular member.
Okay.
It does not
Okay.
say any member or a regular or a supernumerary member. So he was not included in, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So.
So if we take this out, then any member of the board, whether regular or supernumerary, can serve on one other board in the city.
It seems like we need to strike the word regular.
Well, except that, I mean.
We're getting rid of all of the words in red.
Isn't this the
Correct.
way you wanted it edited when we
Oh, yes.
talked about it?
Yeah.
So this is what you wanted?
Well, that's what Mr. Kendrick said we
Right.
needed to do.
Yeah. I just
So
want
it
to make
just
sure
says
that I
that-
had, yeah.
We just don't need to exclude anyone from
Right,
being
but the
able
way
to.
it is now written without the words in red is the way you want.
Right, because it
Good.
says all the members of the board.
Because we've got the resolution and.
And shall hold no more than one other municipal office.
Right.
Do we?
Well, mine's not struck, it's
Well, it's
underlined. Like,
underlined, it's in red letters.
so we're striking that or adding it?
We are striking that.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's highlighting that it would be.
It would be
Super
removed.
confused.
yeah. The red letters will be removed.
Do we vote on this? Is that?
Yes.
Well, I think technically we
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah, you should, yes. A motion and a second.
All right, take a motion to approve the modification to the rules of procedures and bylaws, section 3, qualifications as underlined in the attached document.
I so move.
Just approve by acclamation.
Yes.
If the
Yes.
board's
Yes.
in agreement?
Yes, yes.
All right. All right.
All right. The next item on the agenda is new business. I will call Bza Case 220202. If you are here to speak, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Paul Bates. I am representing Mims and Mary Cooper. The address is 306 La Playa Place in Homewood. We are requesting a 4-foot variance on the south side of the property because we have a pie-shaped lot. It is narrower at the front as it goes back, which causes us to push our house back further. But in addition, the current house, residents there that we plan to demolish will be, is 2 feet, approximately 2 feet over the setback line now. The entire house is. And what we want to, as far as setback is, we have a 13-foot section. The majority of the house is actually 13 feet from the property line. So outside of the setback, there's just a 13-foot section, and then the garage in the very back of the house. Yeah.
This is a public hearing. If you're here to speak on the case, please step forward and state your name and address. Seeing that no one has stepped forward, I'll open the case up to questions to the board.
Yeah, you closed the public hearing. You open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having a real hard time reading what I'm seeing.
Okay.
You're moving it 2 feet further back than the current house, correct?
I believe that is correct. Yes, I believe that is correct. But maybe the 2 feet you might be referring to as the existing house is.
Yes.
Oh, okay, you understood
But it
that.
appears from the aerial view that they're all lined up at that on the street.
Yes, yes, they are.
Which is gonna put this house 2 feet further back than the other ones. Why is that?
Well, because as we have a pie-shaped lot, it's narrower at the front. And
But they're all, I mean, but if the other house could be 2 feet closer, why can't yours be 2 feet closer?
I'm not sure I understand your question, actually.
Okay, the existing house is 53 feet.
Oh, and our new one's going to be 55.
So
Okay.
I'm wondering why.
Well, because then we pushed back to help with the being over the setback line already, so we pushed it back as far as we could, but in addition, we were trying to get a single-car garage in the back. The current garage in the back is also over the setback line by, I think, 7 feet, but we're inside the rear setback line, but that was basically as far back as we could push.
So you're trying to avoid another setback variance on this side?
Yes, sir.
So-
Yes.
So you see the corner here?
The
Yeah,
current.
I understand that.
The driveway of the current house is actually 2 feet over on the adjoining neighbor's property, and we're putting it back on this property.
So where will that be, since it's not drawn on here?
It actually happens between the property line and the setback line, that
Okay.
10-foot area.
Okay, so what's going over the setback line is, help me here, I'm assuming that this is the kitchen on the front of the house,
Yes, ma'am, that is the
and
kitchen.
the pantry is moving over.
Yes, ma'am, it's the pantry that is,
And that big room, is that the dining room?
that's their living room, dining room.
Okay,
And that is actually almost 13 and a half feet from the property line. So the gray area there the shadowed area in the pantry, that's the area that we're requesting a variance for, as well as the garage in the back.
It just seems to me that if you're starting with a clean piece of paper and just the setbacks drawn on it, you can find a design that fits within the setback.
Well, yes, I mean,
Because
that,
it's nothing but, as Mr. Cole, who was on this board, used to say, nothing but lines on a piece of paper.
well.
I mean, you put them where they need to be, sort of.
I
I'm just
underst-
trying to understand, what about this layout makes this necessary? In other words, what is the hardship under the code?
Well-
I mean, that,
I consider our hardship the pie-shaped lot. I believe we're 46 feet on the front of my, believe, yeah. And so, you know, we're less than 50, and that's a pretty narrow lot. Then subtract, you know, our 10-foot setbacks on each side, that's 20 feet from that dimension. Well, actually, we have a little more room as we scoot back. But it's very limited. You know, and we're also, 55 feet back. Sure, there are things we could reduce. I mean, if we reduce the garage, for instance, we wouldn't be able to park in it. And they've got to be able to have enough room to come around the backside and to be able to get out as well.
What is the depth of the pantry from the door to the back wall?
From the door to the back wall, I think it is 7 feet, as I recall, inside. And so we'll, if we lose the 4 feet, then it's just a small pantry.
Yeah, versus like walking into it?
Right. Scale-wise, we were trying to keep it in relationship to the neighborhood. And they did want a one-story house, and which all the houses surrounding it are one-story as well, or appear. So to put everything on the main level, it just seems to spread out and take more space.
Did you, I guess, the reasoning behind, trying to orient myself on which way, maybe it's the west side for the variance, or the left side of the lot when looking at the site plan, rather than kind of shifting that to the angled property line. Is that due to the driveway location?
Yes, sir. The grades are higher on the left side of the property than on the right. And so it's just the access is easier. As the property goes from the right side to the left side, it raises up several feet, like 5 feet.
what if you had flipped the plan? Did you look at doing that and what that did to the?
Well, to flip it, I mean, it's not there are no parallel lines on the property. So we were trying to establish one straight line, which was the left-hand side. To flip it, we would have then been encroaching on the garage. I think we would have needed to, I guess we could have left the garage where it is. But it just felt right on the property like this. So the high side wasn't as accessible, and it seemed more appropriate this way. And the existing house is laid out like this, and I think it was the same reason. It was easier access.
I move we approve Bza Case Sv -22-02-02.
I'll second that.
All right, before we vote, I would point out that in the absence of Mr. Perkel, the supernumeraries will be alternating their votes. So on this particular case, Mr. Gear will let you vote on this one, then the following one, Mr. Roberts, and so forth. All right? Mr. Wortley,
Yes.
Ms. LeBeouf,
No.
Ms. Hand,
No.
Mr. Gear,
No.
and Mr. Foley.
Yes. All right, that's 3 noes, 2 yeses, so your case does not pass.
Is there any kind of compromise as far as the request, the variance request?
I think we've already voted, so I think maybe we might be able to offer some suggestions on another application. But at this point, we've voted, the vote was no, so we cannot compromise or take a proffer to reconsider at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, next case on the agenda is Bza Case Sv 220203. If you're here to speak on the case, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Terry Johnson. I live at 201 Woodland Drive, and I'm here to request, what we're wanting to build a screen porch, a 10 by 15, and we live on a corner lot, Woodland and Palmetto, and the house was built in 1947, and it current doesn't conform to the 9-foot setback. We are wanting to add simply about 2 feet. Actually, I think it's going to be less than 2 feet to our current structure from the setback, but that's going to require a 3-foot variance on the side of Palmetto.
Is that all you would like to present to the board?
That is correct.
All right. At this point, we'll open this. This is a public hearing. We'll open it up to the floor. If you'd like to step forward and speak on the matter, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Going once, twice, all right. I'll go ahead and close the public portion of this hearing and open it up to questions to the board.
What is the addition for?
A screened-in porch.
Did you say a screened-in porch?
Screened-in porch, yes. It's going to be what we're wanting is a 10 by 15, and but it actually will only extend from our current structure. The way it's going to be, it's only going to extend about like less than 2 feet past the current structure that we have.
So you have a covered porch now?
I'm sorry?
I didn't want to go in your backyard, so when I went by to look at it.
Okay.
So I don't know what you have there currently.
We don't have anything current. Right
Oh,
now,
okay.
we have a patio, and
Okay.
we're wanting to take out some of the patio that's currently there and make that a screened porch. The way the house sits is, there's an old porch, that was an old screen porch when it was built, or I think might have been a front porch when it was built. But it has years ago been enclosed, and to a screen porch, and so basically what we want to do is just be able to walk out and have from the current sunroom that and into a screen porch. And it, again, it will only, the most of the length will be the depth going west to east, and then the 10-foot will go towards the Palmetto side. But again, it will only extend about 1.7 feet from what we have currently.
So you don't want it to go straight back, you're gonna do this?
Well, just to get the 10 by 15, just because we want the 10 by 15 is why the 10 would go that would allow for the
Yeah, I
two.
understand.
And we want the 15 to go.
Yeah, but it's butting up to something that's not as wide as it is.
Well, if we did the 15, we couldn't do the other way. We couldn't do the
No.
15.
What's the significance of the 10 feet?
Yeah, that's what I'm
That-
saying.
we
why
just,
not?
Couch, table, TV, or?
Just to have some space. I mean, just the space that we were wanting to get in that.
So the sunroom is
It
foot
is,
7 inches too little for you?
it's a foot and a half. It's 1 foot 7 inches is what we wanted to add to that. We just wanted to have, it is a little, the sunroom is a little narrow, so we would like to be able to extend that out the 1.7 or 2 feet. There's an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
What the fence that's there, would that stay in place, or?
It would stay in place, and it
Can
would,
you-
of course,
can-
be within the fence.
Can y'all excuse me one moment? Brian, the link to the meeting is not valid? Got a text from someone that can't log in?
Well, I have other people here.
Okay,
so
all right. I'll
Tell
let
them
them know.
to try
Thank you.
again.
Yeah, I'll let them know.
Okay.
Yes, it would,
Sorry.
the fence would be there. The fence has been there, I've been in the house for 22 years, and the fence has been there that whole time, and it would certainly be within the fence. But to answer your question, we wanted a little bit larger space, and that's why we wanted the 10 by 15, if possible.
Mr. Foley? Can I ask a question, please? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Where exactly is the fireplace? Is it, you mentioned that it's going to,
We want a fireplace if we can, if we want a fireplace, and it would be in the middle along the,
along the
honestly,
the Palmetto side?
yes.
Yep.
And we have not we've gotten just a rough sketch of it,
Yeah.
but we didn't actually get a blueprint or anything
Right,
yet, because we
drawing.
wanted to take care of this portion first.
But it would not extend more than?
No, no.
This will? Okay.
No, it will not.
Yeah, I
No.
just want to make sure that you didn't.
No,
include
that was actually, that was part of what we were wanting to do, was have the fireplace, and that's why we were accounting for it being a little bit more than with the 1.7.
Right.
The 1.7 inches past the current structure. Feet, what did I say, inches? Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, yes, feet.
Okay, so that's the reason you want it?
Yes,
Okay, That
yes.
was the point of my question.
Okay,
Was
thank
why-
you.
Why do you want it wider?
Okay, yes, it's the fireplace.
So that portion of it that's sticking out further would just be a small portion of that.
Right.
15-foot.
That's exactly right.
All right. Makes total sense to me now.
Okay.
So if you were to build a fireplace, the actual screened-in porch would be less than 6 feet from the line? Is that what you're saying? And only the fireplace would be 6 feet? You're saying the whole thing would be,
No, we're, from the current house to the 10 feet only extends past the current structure 1.7 inches to make that 10 feet. And we're asking for that addition because we would like to be able to have a fireplace.
oh yeah, so I'm asking,
Yeah.
is the fireplace the only thing that's gonna extend beyond the current patio or your whole screened-in porch is going to extend.
In other words, will the
Right.
fireplace move out the back?
No, we
Or
will,
will it all be-
the fireplace,
Will it extend into the room instead of out the back?
it will go on the side of Palmetto. I'm trying to think how they, basically, we'll do what you guys say we do. I mean, we would like for it to be, I wish I could remember that. What I've been told is we wanted the 1.7 for the fireplace. So yes, I'm assuming that would be it. It would be just that extension of what the fireplace would be.
So 1.3 feet of the variance request is to line it up with the rest of the house that's existing and already non-conforming. And the 1.7 is to allow them to add a fireplace.
That is, yes. Is that what you understand, Kay?
I can't hear a word.
Okay. Okay.
Could you repeat your question?
Well, I think when you come with your plans to get the permit, if it doesn't conform to this, you'll be back.
Right. Right. I hope that, yeah.
I mean, so,
I believe that 3 feet will be sufficient.
well, I thought she only wants one.
No, I won't, no, I'm asking for a 3-foot
The
variance.
variance is for 3 feet total.
Yes, yes, I'm asking for a 3-foot variance,
Okay.
yes.
The total variance is 3 feet.
I was wondering why it didn't look that big on
Right, I'm asking for a 3-foot variance, yes, that's what I'm asking for, is a 3, I'm asking for a 3-foot variance. I'm sorry if I did not make that clear.
I think I've already left the house or something.
May I approach? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, could you please?
Yes, my name is Kay Argo. I'm a friend of Terry's, and I've sort of been helping them with this process. So and I think you're asking about the fireplace and if that remains, if that's part of the 3-foot variance, and it is.
Okay.
So,
Because it's not drawn in on the drawing, so I'm going, what fireplace? I don't see
Right,
a
well,
fireplace.
we're wanting, that is one of the things we're wanting to
Sorry.
do, but like I said, I didn't want to get far down the road of doing the drawings if if we weren't going to be able to do this. But we're asking for, and again, forgive me if I didn't make that clear, but we are wanting a 3-foot, we're asking for a 3-foot variance.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kay.
no, that's right. It's 1.7 feet will accommodate the screen-in porch, and that leaves 1.7, at least 1.3 plus the 1.7 for
Right.
the fireplace.
Okay.
So.
So that
makes
is,
sense.
yes. So the entire, to answer your question, Ms. Hand, that all of it will be 1.7 past the entire, and then we'll have an additional for the fireplace. 1.3 for the fireplace, but it will all be a 3-foot.
That's what I don't care what you put in it, I just want to know how much
Yes,
you want.
okay, okay.
Okay, that
You-
makes
Okay,
more
I gotta,
sense.
this is new
Ms.
for me,
Argo,
so.
Ms. Argo,
Okay,
could you tell me your name and address on that sign-in sheet?
Oh,
Just for
yes.
my
Thank you.
records.
Okay.
Thank you.
I move to approve Bza case number SV 22-02-03.
I second.
All right. On this vote, Mr. Roberts, you'll be participating in this vote. All right. Mr. Hortley,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
and Mr. Foley.
Yes. Your case is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Bza Case Sv 220204. If you're here to speak on the case, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Bryant Nail with Father Nature Landscapes. I'm representing Joey Miller at 3101 Roxbury Road. He's the homeowner. And so what we're hoping to do is take out the existing grass, the sod in the backyard, and convert that to synthetic turf. Keeping it the same footprint as the existing sod is, and just going back in with the synthetic. Hoping, I guess my understanding what's going into this is that it's considered an accessory structure, and so therefore an impermeable structure. And so that's kind of the desire, is to be able to put that in, and I guess I'm confused too on why it's considered impermeable. So.
Is that all that you'd like to present to the board?
Yes, sir.
All right. Since this is a public hearing, I'll open it up to the floor to speak on the case. If you're here to speak on the matter, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Okay, Marcus Sparks, 1809 Lancaster Road. So we're one street over from the house in question. So, okay, so my wife and I are opposed to this variance request. We need less area of ground cover in general in Mayfair, not more area of ground cover allowed. We need more natural landscaping, not less. We need more absorption, not less. The storm sewers in our neighborhood are already overwhelmed, so we need as much as possible to encourage natural landscaping and grass and trees to absorb as much of the water when we have extreme rains as possible. So that's why I'm opposed to the variance. Thank you.
And I'm Gloria White at 1809 Lancaster. And I wanted to make sure, Mr. Goodwin, that you received David Chaplin's letter.
Yes,
He's a neighbor
right.
of ours, and they are
Right.
also opposed.
Yeah, we forwarded those to the board members as well as,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
they have all those. They should have them.
Good, they were wanting to be here but had to be
Right.
out of town.
Yes.
But the reason I oppose it is twofold. One is the house already is not in the historic character and look and feel for Mayfair. And so they've already got exceptions for that property. They're at 50%, I believe, and they're asking to go to 54% if I understand the request. But not only are we worried about it from the standpoint of it doesn't percolate as well as natural fabric or grass or rocks or whatever, but it just doesn't fit the look and feel of the neighborhood. So we've got two reasons why we would like to see you deny this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may speak, just to the permeability of the turf. The turf itself has a permeability rate of greater than 30 inches per, is it 30 inches per minute, I believe it is, or per hour it is. And so I guess, therefore, I don't see it necessarily as an issue from a permeability standpoint. So I don't think that would be, I would be confused on why that would be an issue. But for the look standpoint, it's going to be completely inside of a fenced-in backyard.
Thank you.
Mm.
This, I believe, is, all right, so is that everybody that wants to speak on this case? Okay. given that, I'm going to close the public portion of the case. I think this is a first. Yes, please do.
Thank you. There's been a lot of talk today about impermeable surfaces and what that means and what that looks like. And so for you guys, it's only about whether it's an accessory structure or not, and to the percentages that we're looking at, right? But it's also important, I think, for you guys to understand, if you're approving an accessory structure that is in fact pervious. And Bryant's exactly right. Turf like this can be pervious as long as you put it on a section that includes things like sand or 57 stone and French drain systems and all that. So water can get through this stuff as well or even better than it can natural turf. The problem that, and I think the reason why all this got stirred up today was because I asked Brian, I think, why, what the section looked like, and they sent just the cover, like the top layer. So like, I don't know if this is going on clay or dense grade aggregate or what. So we had to consider it as an impervious surface, but that's neither here nor there, I think, for the accessory structure calculation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it matters what the base is, what's below it.
It matters what's under it.
Yeah,
for sure.
that makes sense. So it's an 8910, what we call it 8910. It's a crushed gravel base that's going below it, 2 to 3 inches of depth. It's I guess I don't have a sample of the gravel to show you, but I could bring you one. It is basically the same thing that you would put pavers down on. And my understanding too, I mean, with things like Belgard pavers, there are some of those that are permeable, and I believe they are allowed from a permeability standpoint in Homewood, and they go on the same type base as well. So,
Is that assembly, has that been tested, and is that testing proved the 30 inches per hour?
it's the specs from the manufacturer. So I haven't tested it myself, but I'm going with their specs.
So what you're proposing to install is that assembly that is designed and tested to meet 30 inches per hour?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask, how does that compare to like just grass? Is it also?
I mean, it's pretty nice. You don't have to mow it, so.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm sure.
From a drainage
No, the drain, is it 30 inches per hour?
From a
For
drainage
grass.
standpoint, my understanding would be if you're comparing it, so you're gonna have normal sod, and then that's gonna be sitting on the native soil, or, whatever you've added in, some sort of amendment. Cale could probably speak to this a lot better than I can, but my understanding is typical native soil in Alabama is going to have a permeability rate then of about 2 to 4 inches, I think, per hour. And so based on the statistics and the specs of the turf, it should have a greater permeability than the, just standard soil with sod on it.
So Cale, I guess my question is, are we voting on this assuming if it's impervious or pervious?
No, that part shouldn't matter. But I mean, I think what you could possibly do is ask Bryant to submit something that would be acceptable to the engineering department.
Oh, so
If you wanted to see an impervious surface.
Yeah, so
then you could
similar
certainly
to
do
what
that.
Matthew was saying about.
A conditional
With
approval,
Yeah.
provided that the engineer signs off on the
The
section of.
permeability of the, right, that's right, the
Great.
section.
So if the engineer signed off on the permeability of it, would he need a variance?
Yes.
Yes. So where is that calculation? I don't see the
Where's what
percentage of the, well, usually when it's taking up some of the 30% or 50% or whatever it is, we've got that on here, but that's not on here.
It's a corner lot. And so we don't have a rear yard
Oh,
structure.
okay, so it's,
It's just
But-
the total lot, because there is no
I was
rear
just
yard.
wondering how much of it, I mean, I just.
So we're going from 50% to 54%.
Okay, that's what's not written on here, so that's what I
Yeah,
was
it's,
asking.
Under C.
I saw it somewhere.
Well, it's probably in the verbiage somewhere, but
Yeah. It's under C of the.
Request C is that, is for the, but it's the ground coverage by all structures from 50% to 54%.
That increase would happen if the turf itself is considered impermeable.
If it,
It would
no,
go to-
no.
it's a structure, because,
Because there's nothing else you can classify it?
well, if you look at the list of what is a structure, I mean, it even includes ground-mounted satellite dishes. So, and signs, and anything that is attached to or affixed in any way to the ground, or to something that is on the ground, like a house. It's considered a structure because it's not the lot, it's not dirt.
Can I ask a
But-
question? What would you consider just a pathway of 8910 stone that's not compacted for parking? Is that a structure?
You can't park on that.
I'm not, is that considered a
Yeah.
accessory structure, or is that
Yeah, so like if you had a patio.
just a
Sorry,
patio of
if you- If you had
8910
a
stone?
patio of 8910, it would be considered an accessory structure.
So,
Okay.
I think the answer, and this is what Sherry wrote in her report, was that anything that's not natural is considered an accessory structure. So like landscape islands and landscape islands and turf grass are really about the only thing that's not.
Got it.
Well, and so, I mean, I'm not sure whether that's written correctly or not.
I'm
That's
just trying to
how that's just
understand
how it's written
the
and how we
framework. Yeah, it's
interpret
kind
it,
of counterintuitive.
Right.
well, I think, I'm not gonna get into the.
Okay, I know that,
The what?
that some municipalities in the area allow pea gravel driveways. Homewood does not. Is this something that is common in other municipalities, or are we?
You mean turf?
Artificial turf?
Being a.
Accessory structure.
It's accessory structure. I'm trying to see if there is some kind of continuity here with that same type
We
of
just,
thing.
this was our first one, honestly. We were not sure, and we wanted to err on the side. We didn't, you know, we didn't want to not bring it to you, and then find out that you did consider it a structure. We'd rather,
Yeah.
you know.
And I'm also
because it's
concerned,
not part
I'm
of
also
the law.
concerned with the arborist's report too, is,
Yes.
you know, about that as well, as it would be, because that's what he does, is grass and trees, that kind of thing. Okay, all right, I get it.
And I did
Pam?
speak with Graham about it too, you know, when we were trying to figure out, and he said
Okay.
this, that in his, you know, would not fit into the landscape ordinance or the tree ordinance, so if it's not landscaping or a tree, it's a structure.
Structure. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
So the variance is between 50% and 54%?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know, and then there's, of course, when it becomes a structure, then we have that whole placement of a structure on a corner lot. And since structures, accessory structures are only permitted in a rear yard or a side yard when it is a garage or a carport only. So then, we've got part of it in the side yard, so he's requesting a variance for an accessory structure in a side yard that is not a carport or a garage. And then, that portion that is along, Palmetto, right, is that right? No, Huntington.
Huntington.
Along Huntington, that is a secondary front, because an accessory structure is not permitted in a front yard. So those are his three variances, the front, the side, and then the total
Okay.
structure, yeah.
From just a simply accessory structure standpoint, would it matter that we've already gotten variance cleared to build the fence on, to basically to take down the existing fence and to put up a new fence? I mean, I guess in my mind, that kind of sets a precedence for the fact that at least a accessory structure can be allowed on the side property. So
Fences are permitted on the side.
Yeah,
I'm just speaking from
corner
terms
lot.
of accessory structure.
Yeah, but
So-
it says, it lists specifically that a fence can be, when you have a corner lot, where the fence can go. So yes, it is
Yeah.
a structure, it is an accessory
Yeah.
structure, but the placement of it is defined in the ordinance.
Yeah, yeah, I was just wondering if that mattered. and would
Fences
help
have their
set
own
precedence.
separate rules, and they're not actually included in the zoning ordinance, so
Yeah.
that variance
Gotcha.
was granted by the council.
Yeah,
city council.
yeah, it was. Gotcha, okay.
We don't know about that yet.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not ours. Okay. Well, I do know that I have several friends that live in that area, and I am very concerned about the stormwater runoff because it floods.
Yeah.
Is something awful there?
I can speak to that. So we currently, the city of
Yeah.
Homewood has a
We're about to
design
do that.
project going on at the corner of
Firefighter?
Roxbury and Huntington, which is where this
Oh.
house is, correct?
It is.
It's right where it's.
Right. So
Yeah.
there's a very large culvert that runs down Huntington, and then it bottlenecks down,
Yeah.
and then opens back up. And we have an engineering is happening to replace that section of pipe. So hopefully, in the next couple of years, that project will happen and we'll get better drainage
Yeah,
for everyone. So, no, I don't disagree at all with what
yeah,
the neighbor said.
yeah.
Well, is it your opinion that they could put some type of section in that would not be materially greater in terms of stormwater runoff onto the surrounding areas than the current sod is today?
Ask that again, I'm sorry.
Can this section of turf and 8910 stone effectively be as permeable as the existing sod is today, thereby not creating a additional runoff?
Right, yes.
Okay.
I think it can. And it will, so when the system becomes overwhelmed and all the pipes fill up, it will back up into the voids which are under the turf, right? So that will also provide some storage
Some retention.
with it that your natural clay materials wouldn't provide.
Yeah, and I should also add too, we're not trying to catch any water underneath, like through a French drain that we would then pipe into the existing drain system. We're simply doing the base so that the native ground below it can still absorb it. I guess in my mind, I would see it being even more of a problem if a piping system were below it that could capture the water and deposit it directly into the storm runoff, the city sewer. And so we're not doing that. We're just simply, literally taking off 2 to 3 inches of soil, gravel, so that we can level it out and smooth it off, and then put the synthetic turf back on the top of it.
So this work is permitted and you check their design documents and their installation.
Mhm.
Is that a correct
Our
statement?
inspectors would, and, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of these?
We do a fair, it's becoming more popular. We do a lot more natural, grass than we do anything else, but it's becoming more and more popular, especially in backyards, putting greens, around pools, things like that.
I move to approve Bza Case number SV number 22-02-04.
Second. Mr. Gibb, all right. Did that motion include the conditional approval subject to engineer city engineer review?
Always.
permeability?
Yes,
It did
it
include
did, it
that
does.
condition, okay, all right, okay. And Mr. Gear, you'll be participating in this vote, okay? Mr. Wortley,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
No.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Gear,
Yes.
and Mr. Foley.
Yes. Your case is approved. You have 180 days to approve your permit.
All right.
Next item on the agenda is Bza Case Sv 220205. If you're here to speak on the case, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Brush, representing Brandon and Katie Bishop, who live at 304 English Circle. I think the discussions that I just concluded with the previous case, a lot of the terminology and the definitions are going to have a lot of overlap with what I'm going to present to you, specifically synthetic turf, a lot of drainage, and the buzzword of permeability. Our case, bringing forth our case, thank you for hearing it, is we are walking into a set of existing conditions that exceed both the allowable backyard and overall lot coverages. I think in the printed and written description of our case, item B, the optics of it are just at a glance, I don't know how to say it other than unfavorable, the 30% to 75.8% increase. Please hear me out as I try to better explain that. So the backyard, the existing total for the backyard is at an 80.88% coverage of accessory structures. The allowable 30, so it's roughly 80.88%. Allowable is 30. The existing lot coverages, which is allowable, is 50%. We are at currently at 62.72%. A lot of the overall lot, the lot overage stems from not entirely, but almost entirely what's going on in the backyard. And the backyard conditions are caused by three primary things. The lot features a home and a detached single-car garage structure. There's a driveway along the southwest side of the house that goes from English Circle and allows access to the garage. In front of that garage is a large concrete parking area. What we're proposing to do in the improved site plan is to take out the garage on, the driveway. I'd say around 80% of the driveway along the left side of the house would go away entirely. The parking area to the rear of the house, it would go away entirely. That is the biggest culprit on the overages in the backyard. The backyard also currently features a stone patio, which is impermeable. We are proposing to reduce the surface area of it. And then thirdly, the backyard also features a synthetic turf area, going back to our the case that y'all just heard. It's got a synthetic turf area, which we would be replacing with other synthetic turf, but introducing into it a dipping pool. So in summary, we would be reducing the improved plan would take the existing conditions. It would reduce runoff, it would improve absorption, it would improve permeability. It would take the 80.88% coverage in the rear yard, reduce it around 5% to 75.8%. There are three, the accessory structures, which I think everybody knows a little bit more about that from the previous case. Three things are considered accessory structures in the backyard, all of which are permeable to a degree. There's pea gravel that we're proposing to introduce for a patio. There's synthetic turf, which would surround the dipping pool, and there's the dipping pool itself. So even if those three things at surface value were considered to be completely impermeable, which they're not, we are reducing the backyard percentage from 80.88% to 75.8%. If those three items, the synthetic turf, pea gravel, and pool, were considered to be permeable in totality, that would get us under 50% for the backyard. Similar to the previous case, the bishops and with my guidance are more than willing to submit a detail to the engineering department for approval for a subsurface French drain beneath the pea gravel, beneath the synthetic turf. So I think those are our big talking points. I think in summary, what we're proposing to do is improve. We've got existing conditions in the backyard that are quite a bit way over what's allowable. We're improving on those things, and doing so, reducing runoff, increasing absorption, increasing permeability, and enhancing the overall quality of the property.
This is a public hearing. If you're here to speak on the case, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. All right, it appears that no one is here to speak on this case, so I'll close the public portion and open the case up to the board for questions.
If I may also point out, we did receive 2 letters of support, which I emailed to board members. Hopefully you received those from the rear and the adjacent property on the left-hand side. Just so.
Is the synthetic turf assembly that you're proposing, does that carry the same performance as the previous case?
It does.
There are actual details submitted this time in this particular case, or?
I haven't seen any.
Okay. Do you know what the section will look like yet? What you're considering under the turf?
Not specifically. What I have in mind is the turf would it would be tacked to an 8910 surface, 8910 gravel surface. Going back to previous discussions, that would sit on top of an underlayment fabric, under which would be 57 stone. And within that 57 stone would be French drains to collect any overflow, any excess water.
So you are putting French drains? Excuse me, you are putting a French drain system under there?
If that is favorable, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Would like that very much.
I'm a fan of French drains.
Where do they run to, though? To me, it's either a case of retention, where you're retaining it on the lot, or you're allowing the water to percolate to a French drain and run elsewhere.
That's right. So they would run elsewhere, probably to our storm network.
Yeah.
To the city storm network, which is okay in this kind of system because it all happens so slowly. And the difference in this case and the other case on Roxbury is that on Roxbury, they were replacing grass with turf. There was some confusion about whether or not it was going to be better or worse. In this case, they're replacing
Stone for turf.
like concrete with this, or bad turf for better turf.
Yeah.
And the carrying of the water through the French drains, they're about every 5 feet on center. So if there is water, the water that percolates through the synthetic turf, that which does not migrate naturally into the soil, if there is ever any buildup, that buildup is what works its way into the French drain. So it's not, as a system, it's not taking all rainwater that lands on the turf into a piping system. Some of that would go into the soil naturally.
So that's deeper than the 2 or 3 inches he was talking about,
Mhm.
depth
There-
that he's going to go down.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Thank you. I move we approve Bza Case Sv 22-02-05.
I'll second.
All right. And Mr. Roberts, you will be participating in this vote. Okay. Mr. Workley,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
and Mr. Foley.
Yes. Your case is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Great, thank you, council.
Mr. Chairman, may I have a minute to say something?
Yes, you may.
Was the last vote, did it also include conditional approval for engineering
Yes.
approval? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. Well, to the best of my knowledge, this is my last Bza case after 7+ years on the board, and 2.5 years prior to that as a reporter on the Bza to the Homewood at Large blog. And I just want to thank everyone that's helped me along the way. Staff has been great, and they've answered all my very, very stupid questions, from Vanessa to Donna and to y'all.
Right.
Over the years. They've been very helpful, and all the people I've served with have just been great, good friends. Ty Cole picked out my new roof color because I threw up my hands and couldn't, so he came by and did that. So, good friends, and I appreciate all of you, and I will miss y'all, but it is time to move on. So, thank you all for everything over the years.
Thank you for your time and your service. Much appreciated. I believe with that, I will conclude the February 2022 Board of Zoning and Adjustments meeting.